Hi everyone, I'm back tonight with another review of a perfume I actually wrote up the review of 6 or 7 months ago, but I'm only now getting around to actually putting it up on YouTube. Most of my reviews are just me talking into the webcam of what I've actually written down. So I guess I'll keep in that spirit and do that. This is something that was getting a lot of I guess, good favor last year, maybe late 2015. Um, it's called Usar. It's from the house of Euphorium, Brooklyn, and originally released in 2015. But there was a 2016 reworking of the perfume. I think he slightly reformulated it, and this is what I have. It's the 2016 reformulation from last year. I have no idea what the original USAR smells like of 2015, or even if it's still commercially available. This is just a review of the of the 2016 reform. The original was an oil, whereas this is an EDP. It was created by Euphorium Brooklyn owner, creative director, and nose Stephen Dirks, who might be preferred to be identified by his nom de guerre, who is the 19th century perfumer and sort of all-around Renaissance man by the name of Christian Rosenkreuz. Usar has some very, very interesting notes. Just a few of them. Javanese lime, which I'll try my best. Jeruk nepis. Do not know the language or the culture extremely well, but there you go. Ginger, clove, sweet raw palm sugar, vanilla, cassia, fragrant resins, roots, Sumatran benzoin, or hajimon, cypriol, oud, ambergris, and damp earth. So I find the note of vetiver, which is also in here, to be especially important in sort of the life and the drying down of the fragrance, especially as it wears on the skin, because it's one of the few fragrances I've smelled lately that is able to capture that note in sort of from top to bottom. For some reason, it kind of stays at the heart, but you get vetiver top, heart, and base here. In fact, the Indonesian word for vetiver is the name of this perfume. It is Usar, specifically the vetiver that's harvested in the Sunda Islands of the Malay archipelago. So, Usar is reminiscent of a bright, bracing, sort of invigorating eau de cologne, even though it doesn't have that longevity. Longevity is, of course, much better, it being an EDP. But when you hear notes like vetiver and oud and woods, sometimes you think about winter with some justification. But this really is more complex than that. It has, like I said, notes of lime and grassy notes and things that might evoke warmer weather. It's really not the sort of eau de cologne fougere that you might be thinking of that your grandfather wore. And like I said, certainly lasts longer than that too. It opens up with a really lovely zesty lime note, which is made even more exciting, I think, by the presence of ginger. So which has this sort of citrusy, earthy sweetness all of its own, making it this perfect sort of bridge between zesty top notes and the sort of dark, resinous, oudy bottom notes. Clove follows close behind as it opens up, which in combination with the vetiver provides just the right amount of smoke. And the base offers just the barest hint of ambergris that sets everything off very, very beautifully, I think. I can imagine this performing really, really well in almost all seasons. I wore most of mine. He sent this to me full. Okay, so now you can see how much is left. I wore most of mine in the summer when I wrote the review. Haven't had a chance to wear it in cold weather. I'm not really sure I'd want to, because it's more of like a warm weather kind of thing, I think. Just the vibe it gives off, at least on the top. Um, the lime and the ginger just really sort of bounce off of the skin, especially on a warm day or after a hot shower. And I think it would perform, well in the spring or the fall as well. For this kind of perfume, admittedly hard to classify, but essentially sort of belonging to the citrusy, woodsy, spicy family. Has a life on my skin which is much longer than I would have anticipated. I regularly get between 5 and 6 hours with Usar, and I'm happy with that. Anything over 4, I'm very satisfied with. In fact, if it, like I've said in previous reviews, if things last more than 6 or 8 hours, I tend to start thinking that's a bit of a unnecessary aspect of a perfume, because usually after that period of time you're wanting to reapply or put something else on for a different social setting or occasion. The aim of Usar, according to Christian Rosenkreutz, is to provide an anodyne for the homesickness of a perfumer pining about his experiences in Indonesia. Me never having had the good luck of visiting Indonesia, I can only sense how this perfume encapsulates that sort of idea of that country. There's the lime and the ginger, which are both so prominent in the cuisine. There's the resinous incense wafting from the temples, which are ubiquitous in the country. The light touches of grassiness and earthiness connote sweltering rainforests, all rounded out with an ambergris that just ever so gently reminds you that you're surrounded by an ocean. I understand that many other Euphorium Brooklyn scents are a bit more dark and brooding than this one, which makes me even more interested in them, since that's the way I usually tend to lean as far as my tastes go as well. This came as a pleasant surprise to someone whose least favorite perfume wearing season is summer. So dominated as it is with sort of shallow, not terribly well constructed aquatic scents and citruses and things like that. It's so rare to smell something that is so well suited for summer, but at the same time surprises you with its complexity and its sophistication, but also its appropriateness for warmer weather. For those perfumers who happen to be taken in just as easily by a good yarn as by a delightful fragrance, Euphorium Brooklyn shares the inviting and novelistic conceit of being co-founded by 3 19th century eccentrics, Rudolf Kimono, Etienne Chavril, and the aforementioned Christian Rosenkreutz. Their various interactions and adventures are thickly interlarded, perhaps with a bit of thinly veiled autobiography on the part of Stephen Dirks himself, into the descriptions of the various perfumes on the Euphorium Brooklyn website. The writing combines the readability of a Dickens or a Thackeray with the scientific attention to detail of a Linnaeus, and the learning of someone endlessly curious about the world. As I have spoken to Stephen several times on Facebook, and he certainly seems to fit that description quite well. In short, it's really right up my alley as far as imagination goes, as far as being the whole backstory is lovely. The scent being a surprise for warm weather is also very nice. And it smells really spectacular too, even if the backstory doesn't interest you. So here you go. I do not have a decant, let alone a bottle, but this is my sample. And really, really nice stuff. Wherever you are in the world, if it starts to get warm anytime soon, check into this and see. I'd be very curious to see what you think. Bye, guys.